Welcome. This is the overseas induction part of the presentation. My name is Dr. George. I'm a consultant in diabetes and endocrinology working at Trafford Hospital. Over the next 10 minutes or so, we'll talk through some of the issues that we need to cover for overseas induction. The first is the website. Now, many of you will have seen this, and you may indeed be watching this video on Professionals Across Borders. I have put together quite a few important bits of induction on Professionals Across Borders, and I think what is particularly useful would be the different sections here: the teaching opportunities, the clinics, and induction. Now, under induction, you'll see an induction checklist which contains in bullet point form what all you need to go through at the time of induction. So this could include mandatory training, etc., that I've covered previously. Accommodation is an issue that is top of the list when it comes to overseas doctors. Now, bear in mind that many of the topics that I'm going to discuss here have been brought up by previous doctors who've gone through the difficult aspect of transition from overseas to the UK. Choosing a house can be particularly challenging. If you're coming with family, you need a 3-bedroom at least, a 3-bedroom house or a flat. You can have a 2-bedroom flat as well. A single bedroom flat can set you back by about £900 a month, including all expenses, council tax included. A 3-bedroom house is more expensive. Choose a house that is usually within about 20 minutes walking distance of Trafford. Remember that the usual tenancy is about 6 months, and you may need to pay a 2-month rent as deposit. I've just put a map up here just for you to choose your area, your house. That's Trafford Hospital, that's Manchester Royal Infirmary, and that's Wythenshawe Hospital. Around Trafford Hospital there are quite a few good houses and affordable. It is a residential area and there are good schools around, so it is quite useful to look primarily in that area. The second circle is around an area called Sale, which is also a good residential area. There are buses from Sale that go all the way to Stretford and then to Trafford Hospital, taking about 45 minutes to cover that journey. But if that's something you can plan into your day, then Sale might be a good area to start off. You can also cycle from Sale to Trafford. And cycling by and large is generally safe, although there are no separate cycle routes. You have to cycle on the road. Cycling on pavements is not allowed. You could also walk on the pavement if it is walking distance from your house to the hospital. The red line here is the tram line, which can take you close to Manchester Royal Infirmary. There is also a canal that goes close to Manchester Royal Infirmary, and you could cycle daily. It will make you very healthy and meet the government guidelines for exercise. There is a shuttle bus that goes between Trafford and Manchester Royal Infirmary, taking about 30 minutes to complete the journey, usually timed at 15 minutes past the hour and 45 minutes past the hour, but please do get the up-to-date timetable from the main reception office. Starting a bank account can be quite challenging. Some banks may refuse. You will need a couple of documents proving your address, and often when you don't have an address, you're just settling down, it can be quite difficult. Often if you have a job contract, a BRP card and a tenancy agreement, that will suffice. You can ask for a basic account with no overdraft facility. The third issue is childcare. It can be quite expensive, particularly if you have a very small child. There are rules around leaving children alone at home. Please do make yourself aware with local guidelines. A nanny can set you back quite a bit depending upon how many hours you wish to use. They are only allowed to work for a limited number of hours every day, so they can refuse extra shifts despite you having to go in for on-calls. So be aware of this as an issue. People who are residents in the UK often have family around, and grandparents can pitch in during on-calls. Dress code. Jewelry is not allowed apart from a single wedding band which does not contain any stones. The main issue is around infection control. The full dress code is available for you to read at leisure on the internet. Bare below the elbows, you should be able to clean your wrists and your hands without hindrance, and it is recommended that you either wear half sleeves or roll up your sleeves to above the elbows. No ties unless it's clipped back. Jeans and trainers are not permitted, and there should not be any loose or trailing clothing. Forms to fill out. Now, death certificate is one that comes up as one that's not done very well, and that's often around the cause of death. Now, the cause of death is usually due to one of the organs failing, and that might be heart failure. But the coroner needs to understand what caused the heart failure or what caused the respiratory failure, and unless you justify or are able to give the reason why, what caused the heart failure, you might have that rejected. So it would be acceptable to write left ventricular failure as 1A and dilated cardiomyopathy as 1B, but if you just put heart failure, that's not acceptable. Discuss with your consultant. At the end of the day, your consultant will have to support you through this process. Some cases have to be discussed with the coroner, particularly when the cause of death is not evident. You can discuss with the coroner after having discussed with your consultant if you're fairly sure about what caused the death. Cremation forms are to be filled in case the body is to be cremated. 2 doctors need to sign and examine the body. Postmortem is not required. You will get a separate payment, and don't forget to pick up this check from the general office. Infection control. You need to be familiar with antiseptic non-touch techniques, and it's about keeping clean areas clean and dirty areas dirty, and to avoid contamination. I call it the clean sense. Be sensible about which areas are clean and which areas are not, and be aware of that space at all times. Induction, overseas induction, mandatory corporate training, mandatory clinical training, and a prescribing course that's available in the library needs to be done. This is all available for you to view on the website. Of course, the training has to be done on the e-learning website, which you can get access to from home. However, you need an ESR number, which is what payroll services give you once you have got your first pay slip. It's also possible for you to use the GMC number. Accents and abbreviations. The Mancunian accent can be quite difficult. It helps if you are able to look at the person and their expressions, and particularly the way the lips move when you are speaking to a person for the first time. Ask for any information to be repeated. Don't be shy if you do not understand it. You are a doctor. You need to make a decision, and that decision can only be made if you understand what's going on. So if you are still not able to understand despite repetition, you can ask for whatever the concern is to be written down or repeated in a different way. You can just ask the person, could you please rephrase that question? And that's a polite way of asking, please repeat. The first month is quite exciting in one way. You might have left your family behind, so you might feel a bit homesick. Use this time where you're supernumerary to make sure that you get proper accommodation, start up your bank account, and set everything right so that when you start work and take on responsibility, you're well supported. You have to do 4 shadow on calls, and you will need to contact the rota coordinator in this regard. Social support is very important. There are many people who have come from your country in and around Manchester. Unfortunately, there is no web-based contact mechanism, and we may be developing that in the future. But make friends, try and visit them, even if it means taking a taxi. Get information from colleagues about the locality. You can visit the library, the supermarkets. Buying a car often makes a big difference to your mobility, and you can drive for a year on your international license, although the insurance amount can be quite high. But it does make a difference to your standard of living, and particularly your ability to go about different places. Thank you for your attention, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to email me at drgeorge@pab2u.com. My website is www.pab2u.com, Papa Alpha Bravo 2u.com. Thank you for your attention.